Hi, I'm Bob Alsop with ShopSabre CNC. Around here they call me Routerbob. In this video, we're going to produce a base for the Live Edge tabletop that we made in a previous video. The base frame will be fabricated from 10 gauge steel plate. Now the reason we're doing that is because it has a very high strength to weight ratio. It allows us to nest our parts for maximum material yield, and it cuts great on a ShopSabre Sidekick plasma machine. Here's a 3D model of the design I settled on. And I started out with 2 or 3 different things, but in the end I wanted to create something that kind of related to a tree. So that's what these shapes are here. This is a stylized tree. Here's the trunk. It gets larger as it goes up. This represents the root section, and this represents the tree section. So I thought, well, that's pretty good. And I decided, since they're 1/8 inch or slightly over 1/8 inch steel, that I would go ahead and do 2 plates here. So there's 2 on each end, and then they're actually connected together. So if you notice, you have notches in here. And so these things have lap joints, and they fit together and they interlock. And you can probably get by without even welding them, but it would be real easy just to tack those to hold that in place. And then I did the same thing up here. So you've got these on the front, and I made these wider so that I could actually machine the ShopSabre logo in here. And then these are install plates. So these fit in and screw to the underside of the table. So that's really what our goal was. And let's take a look at this. If we turn the top on, this is what it looks like with the top on it. So that's our table, and the height is coffee table height. Now if we want to look at that rendered, here's what it looks like. So there's with our wood grain and our base. So that's basically where the design process came from. And keep in mind, I really wouldn't have to do that. I could just draw the parts out, but sometimes when you're creating things, it's simpler if you do this in 3D. Now let me show you how we go from that concept of design into the actual parts for fabrication. So I've isolated one of the parts that I call a leg, and there are 4 of these required. And if you look at the front of this, actually let's look over here, you'll actually see, and let's shade that, you'll actually see the part. And you'll notice what I've done here is these are slightly wider than the thickness of the material, and there's a radius on the end, and that allows them to fit correctly. And so that's the shape, but what I really need is just the geometry. So what you see there is actually the lines that create that. So I'm exporting that as a DXF drawing, or a PDF for that matter if you wanted to. Then we'll do that for each one of the separate parts, and then we'll bring those into EnRoute Fabrication. Okay, this is EnRoute Fabrication, and this is typically the program that we would use for tool pathing for the Sidekick plasma. Now here's a part, this is the one we just looked at, and you see I brought all the parts in and organized them to utilize as little material as possible, and that's why this is such an efficient method. Now, this outside represents the size of the sheet. In our case, it happens to be 49 by 85. Now, what do we do to go from here to the machine? It's real simple. I circle everything on here. I click this button here. Now this tells me what the curve's going to be, and even though it's plasma, there is a curve. And then I say, okay, how do I want to enter and exit? And so typically I'm going to enter with an arc. I'll make it 0.0625 radius, and I'm going to make it at 180 degrees. And then we're going to exit as an arc, and we'll make that the same radius, 0.0625, 0.625, and this time we'll use a 45 degree. Now here's why. When you make a cut with plasma, it has to burn through first, and so it makes a slightly larger hole in the curve. So we do that out of the scrap material, then we radius into the shape, go all the way around, and come back out. Once that's done, it creates the tool paths automatically, and you see them on there. And you can even see the tool paths down here where the logos are cut out. Okay, now let's look at simulation. So I'm going to go to Machining, Simulate Ortho. And what you see on here is what's going to happen when we send it to the machine. So you see the torch comes out, it cuts those small parts out. One of the things that's really nice about plasma is we don't really have to worry about the Z-axis. It's all controlled in the machine control itself, we simply just configure it for a material and it does all that automatically. So it makes it really, really simple. Now that we visually validated the operations, now all we have to do is output the machine code. And we'll send the program out to the machine control wirelessly. This is a machine control interface that you operate the plasma with. All right, let's take a look at it. Of course, these buttons here move the machine around, that kind of stuff. But what we're really interested in is what controls the material that you're cutting. And it's all done in configuration setups here. There's actually a drop-down menu where you select something, but here's where it's configured. And these numbers typically come from the manual for the torch. So that allows you to preset stuff. Now there's something else here that we put on here, and there are consumables involved with plasma, and this is where you get the information on reordering consumables. So we made that real easy. Okay, let's see how we run this. We open our program. There's our base frame. And then I actually hit this button, and it shows on the screen what it's going to cut. That looks exactly like what we planned. We make sure that we've got the configuration set that we want, and then it's just a matter of pressing the green button and it starts machining. That's all there is to running one of these machines. This ShopSabre Sidekick CNC plasma machine features the water table option. The material is supported by sacrificial slats. This machine features torch height control. The torch comes down to the surface and detects the material top, then retracts the correct amount. Then the material is pierced through by the torch at the beginning of the lead-in, and the cut is completed. The torch then moves to the next toolpath position and repeats the process until all of the parts have been cut out. Now all our parts have been cut and we'll assemble the table. This completes the second part of our Live Edge Table project. Now we have the top and we have the base to go with it. It came out great. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. CNC plasma is an amazing technology, and you can make some unbelievably creative products with it. Plus, it doesn't normally require another machine to use. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you need more information, you can contact us at ShopSabre.com. Thank you for watching.